All right. All right, everybody. On today's episode of the Practice Biopsy podcast, I've got my friend Trent McCord here, who some of you might know from Dental Town years back as Hogtooth. That was your Dental Town name, right?
That is the Dental Town
That's your
name.
Dental Town
Yes,
name.
sir.
So when I was in dental school, getting ready to open my practice, I would read Dental Town all the time to follow Trent's journey because he did a startup that he really let people behind the scenes in to just see what the whole journey and whole process was like. And for me, man, it was really cool to watch. And I mean, I took notes. Like I had a binder where I took notes. It's still back there somewhere from like a lot of people on Dental Town, and you were one of those guys. So I really appreciate what I was able to learn from you there. But today we're going to talk about the process of, we can touch on the startup aspect a little bit, but I want to talk about what it's like to grow a practice from zero to big. And having 35 employees, 3, 4 doctors, 15 ops in there, that's pretty big compared to most dentists. And most dentists honestly don't get that big. There's like a plateau or a roadblock they hit at some point, even if it's a mental one.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? That seems really hard. I don't know if I want to do that. So I want to talk a bit about that today. And also, you're really big on charitable contributions. So I want to hear what you have to say about that today too, and how you incorporate that into practice. All right. So I'll kind
Yeah,
of
sounds
let
good.
you hop in wherever you want to. I think just give like a recap of the journey. Like what's it like from startup to 35 employees? What does that look like?
Man, I think for us, it's like drinking through a fire hydrant. So we, or me personally, like I knew I always wanted to open a practice. I graduated 2013, which didn't seem like that long ago, but now the years are adding up. And did the normal thing, tried to buy a practice, tried to buy into a practice, just wasn't happening in my area. I'm in Northwest Arkansas. And so ended up deciding to open my own office, which we did in Centerton, Arkansas, which is basically West Bentonville. Bentonville is the world headquarters of Walmart, is kind of the claim to fame
Right.
around here.
Walmart
So,
land.
oh yeah, Walmart land. And so decided to open my own office in 2016 and real excited about it, gung ho about everything, and then opened it. And we were fortunate. We've grown a lot. I mean, consistently had a whole bunch of new patients. A lot of that has to do with we did a demographic study, opened where we were needed, a fast growing area. A lot of the same type of things you did. And so, it did a well thought out startup, I think. And then we just kind of found we kept growing and growing and growing. And see, it's been 7 years now. It's just over time, it's like, man, I can't see everybody. What do I do? Well, I'll add a hygienist, and then I'll add another hygienist, and then I'll add another hygienist, and then add a doctor. And then it just kind of slowly kept doing that over the years until now. And this year we started off with 8 ops. We expanded to 15. We just opened that up in March. We've only got 13 plumbed right now, and 3 doctors, and I think we have 7 hygienists, 8 if you count our office manager. And actually, I say 3 docs. We just had a doc start. She's going to do 1 day a week doing pediatric dentistry for us. And so it's just kind of been this keep adding people to keep growing. And that's the route we've gone. I think a lot of people, maybe the smarter route, a lot of times, raise your fees, drop your PPOs, see less patients, and make more on what you're doing. It's not the route we took. Some days I wish it was, but the whole like 35 employees and everything. I mean, it's its own monster. And it's one that some days I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Because we just did this expansion. It's like, what did I do? Like, why did I double on my
added
head?
onto your existing building? You had space on the plot?
Yeah, well, so pretty much. I had an opportunity to purchase, because I'd reached out to my landlord, said, man, can I rent more space? There's a physical therapy next to me. And then next to that was just land to be built. And he basically said, well, why don't I just sell you the property and you do with it what you want? And I said, okay. And so we did that. Bought it at the end of 21. I think I was going to do it before COVID hit, and then I kind of got freaked out. I was like, I don't know what to do, what's going
Mhm.
on. So we put everything on pause. Landlord's just been awesome. And so then we ended up buying it, did the expansion and everything. And we moved the physical therapist down, and then I'm the landlord now. And so we expanded the office that way. And
Cool.
so, yeah, it's cool. And I guess I can get into it a little bit, why kind of the route we've gone,
Yeah, tell me more
and
about
why
that.
we've, so if you, for those people that were around, I documented everything pretty well on Dental Town. And I think a lot of it, I was real excited to open it, got it open, and I had a lot of anxiety. And I had a lot of just, I don't know, my psychological health wasn't good. And so even though we opened and we were busy from day one, always seeing a whole lot of new patients, I mean, I was pretty miserable on the
What was
inside.
stressing you
And
out?
so, man, that's what I still struggle. Like, what exactly was it? And I wonder if part of it was just the responsibility of deep down knowing I can't just go find another job, right? Like,
Right.
this is it. If I go find another job, I'm in trouble. Because I got a lot of, you got debt, you got people relying on you, all those things. And so I still haven't been able to completely nail down exactly what it was. But I mean, for those of you out there that have done a startup and have really, really been stressed out, like our office has had a ton of success. I mean, I wouldn't say at all times I have. And so, like, I was in those early days, I was in my office in the mornings throwing up before patients got there. I distinctly remember sitting there trying to do exams on patients and my hands were shaking. I just had a warm, sick, anxious feeling going on. Like, I've always been able to sleep pretty well, but I would toss and turn from 3, 4 a.m. on, just little things in my head, whether it was patients or possible things going wrong. Like it was visceral for me.
I mean, it's so
And
much more
so,
than being a dentist. Like you'd been a dentist years before, but when you do a startup,
yeah,
it's different. Like when I was doing it, like just starting, I would tell people I think about dentistry maybe 5% of the day.
yeah. Oh yeah. The dentistry part, like kind of, at least for me, that used to be really stressful for me too. Like, how do I be a dentist? And then now that's almost the comfort zone of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I know how to do that stuff. Even when I don't know what to do, I know who to send it to. And when things don't go well, I know how to handle it.
Yep.
But the business part of it, that's been very, very difficult for me.
And I think I
I
wouldn't have guessed that, and a lot of dentists wouldn't guess it. You say, I think I reached out to you because I said I just saw your staff photo and you got like almost 40 people there. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, things must be going great. But you said, there's ups, downs, and you said the office is always doing really well, but you're not always doing really well.
Mhm. Yeah, and you talk to other people. I think we each have our things we can handle, or not, maybe not things we can handle. We can all handle a lot, but we each have our things we handle well and we don't. Just for my journey and being open sometimes about how hard it was. Like, man, I couldn't sleep. I went to the doctor for it, had a counselor, like a lot of different things to help me out. And then you find out a lot of people are going through this stuff. They're stressed out. It's hard. Just nobody talks about it. No one's open about it. It's like, oh no, here's my team on Facebook. Everyone, look how big my office is.
Yeah.
Everything's great. Life is perfect. But we each have our own things we're dealing with, whether it's quote unquote like a real problem or not.
Mhm.
And that's one thing I struggled with too. Was, man, I'm so stressed out, but here I am. Like 2 years ago, if I'd have known my office if I'd have known I had my own office and it was doing well, I'd have been so excited. And here I am, I've got that thing and I'm still freaking out. Like,
Mhm.
why can't I just be happy? What's wrong with me? Like, life is good. I shouldn't be feeling like this. But I mean, I don't know, that might be getting a little bit deep for a dental podcast, but some of the things,
Mhm.
like, life is good, but sometimes it can be stressful and we don't know why. But
Yeah,
for
for
me,
sure.
maybe the responsibility of it, of um, I've got wife and 4 kids, and just being completely responsible for everything with the office
Completely
and all my
responsible. Yep.
employees.
You're
Yeah,
responsible
like,
for
I
your
mean,
employees' Like I talk about that a
Oh
lot
yeah.
too. Like your like the money that your team gets to take care of their family and take care of their kids comes from your engine. Like your
Oh
engine
yeah.
feeds the families of all those people.
Yeah. It does. And it's hard too, because it's easy to get in like the put your boss hat on of like, well, I am feeding, my employees. I do take care of that. Like, so then people are unhappy about pay or wanting a raise, and it's like, I know, what do I do? But that doesn't make that not real for them.
Yeah.
They've got their families to care for and stuff, and so there's an element of responsibility that I think I've grown with a lot,
Hmm.
but also it caused quite a bit of anxiety for me. Some other thing like patience, like just something about knowing it's my office with my name on it. If I got a bad review or had a patient unhappy, like man, I could lose a lot of sleep over that kind of thing. And even though, I mean, we've got over 1,000 reviews, the 4.9 rating, like I know the negative ones, you know,
Yeah.
um,
Mhm.
and most of those, it's one that like I would do everything exactly the same again. It's like I
Yeah.
got a 1-star review for because this person's insane. But anyhow, that's off topic on all that. But yeah, I dealt with some anxiety. For me, part of dealing with that was like, okay, I got this office, I'm stuck with it. What do I enjoy? And what brings me joy and makes me feel more comfortable about being a dentist? And I, kind of maybe through some soul searching and just through whatever, is it became I really, really enjoy when I can help people out that can't afford to pay me. And so
Yeah.
just from a handful of cases early on or doing, I used to do some volunteer to volunteer clinic in the area. It's like, man, I love being a dentist when I'm doing that. Like I don't have any anxiety doing that.
Hmm.
That's fun for me. And so kind of that's morphed into, well, how do I do that more? And how
Yeah,
can I
let's get
afford
into
to do that
that. So
more?
Trent,
Hmm.
tell me how your like charitable dentistry situation goes. Like, is it in your practice, offsite? Is it
Hmm.
scheduled? Is it every day? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so it's a combination. We've got I think back in 2017, maybe 2018. I've got a I've got a sticky note on my mirror in my bathroom that I wrote. I think it was in July of 2017, and it says, "I'd like to donate more dentistry in a year than the average office collects in a year." And that was just kind of a goal, write down thing that for me was like, okay, here's my big picture with dentistry, like
Mhm.
the number one big picture. And since then that's been communicated to my team and they're all on board. And so like our 10-year office goal, I think we put into action in 2018 is like, okay, in 2028, we'd like to donate $1 million worth of dentistry. And so we've been working toward that as a team. That's our overarching big goal as an office. And so what goes into that at the moment is a combination of um, just cases people we see day to day in the office. We do a couple of free dental days every year where we shut the office down and we work with the local free dental clinics in our area. And we've got good relationships with all of them now. We say, hey, we know you can't see everybody on November 2nd. We're going to be doing free extractions and cleanings. Send them our way. And everyone in the office shows up to work and we pull a lot of teeth. We do some SRPs, which are pretty much just full mouth debridements, and we go to town. And then we go. I've been taking my Thursday mornings and just earmarking those for the pro bono type of cases.
Yeah, so
Um,
Thursday morning's free
so
stuff at your
mhm.
office.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta. And I was warned of this too early on, but so you got to be careful about how you approach it. Like obviously, D'Angelo, if you were to go do one of your Facebook ads of free dentistry and see which one worked best, like it doesn't matter because they're all going to work great, and you're going to get flooded with
Yeah.
people coming and asking for free dentistry, and then the word
Yeah.
gets
So like
out, and it can
how
become
do you do that when like, okay, Thursday's free? Well, you're seeing me on a Monday. Why don't you see me on Thursday so I don't have to pay? Like, what about that
so
crowd?
yeah, and so we don't honestly, and this is something I thought about doing, but most of our patients don't know we do this.
Okay.
Some of them do, and I think most of the patients they know a lot of what we do because we're pretty open about it, and I think it's
Yeah.
it's been maybe something unique about us, but they don't know the level so that we do it.
Right.
But what I have found has worked really, really well is finding local nonprofits, local groups, working with people in need, and basically reaching out and saying, hey, can you send us, if you got people, send them our way. And so right now, two of the ones we're working with a lot are, one of them is called Canopy NWA. They help resettle refugees in Northwest Arkansas. So there's a lot of people in the world, even to this day, fleeing for their lives from the countries that they're in. And so, at the moment, Afghanistan's a lot of those. We've worked with Canopy, and they've sent us patients, basically people from Afghanistan were allies of the United States, and when the U.S. left Afghanistan, they had a target on their back, and it was like immediately run to the airport and get out if you can. And so some pretty crazy stories, but you get people here and they're trying to get assimilated, and they don't have dental care yet, or some of them have managed to get Medicaid, but you can't get endo with Medicaid. There's a lot, or crowns. There's a lot of things they can't get, and so
very limited.
We work with them, and they send them to our office, and we take care of whatever we can do. So it's a referral type of thing where they're almost pre-qualified, sent to us, like it's someone in need. We do the same thing with there's a couple free extraction clinics in Northwest Arkansas, and so we know them pretty well, and they send us people that if they need something. And then we're working a lot of patients lately with the Benton County I'm in, the drug court, which is people that have been in jail or had drug charges or addictions they're dealing with, and they're basically in drug courts, like a drug testing 2-year period of time or whatever. Like, we want to help you get sober and get you back on your feet and get your life on track. And so we've got some groups we work with that are working with patients in drug court that really, really, really good people. Of course, there's some of them that aren't so much, but good people that are trying to get their lives on track, and their teeth it is rough. And so a lot of immediate dentures, and I mean, you talk about life changing. You got these people that have, had to run in with whatever it may be, and it sounds bad, but I mean, one of my patients the other day, she just was like, I don't look like a crackhead anymore. And that's something I've heard multiple times, is like, their teeth make them look like a crackhead, and then it makes it real hard to be confident to get a job, to get back on their feet. And so we're like, well, hey, let's do some dentures, and we do them, and it's really cool to see a lot of these people getting their lives back on track. We do their denture, and then next time they come in, they've got makeup on and taking care of themselves. They've got a job now. Like, it's insane. And so that's been very, very rewarding. So like Thursday mornings, I like going to work. I enjoy that. It doesn't stress me out at all. Because I don't know, like, it's fun. I also, if something doesn't go like planned, no one's mad at me about, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, that root canal sore.
They give you more grace because they know you're doing them a solid.
Yeah. So
do your associate dentists do the free work too, or is that mostly you, Trent?
No, we all do it. So I would say mostly me. I'm the only one that does the Thursday mornings, but when we do our free dental days, the doctors come in, they're volunteering their time. I do pay my employees for those days. It's just one of those things, like, it's hard to ask someone to volunteer a full day when they're living, paycheck to paycheck, trying to take care of their family. So we pay our employees to do it, but our doctors, they volunteer for it, and they know they're routinely seeing a patient that has something they need, and they know they don't need to ask me. Like, they'll put it on the schedule. We've got a dummy code or a dummy provider we use in Open Dental. That I think it's like Free Dental Day is the name of the provider, and so that's become a way that we track everything. So since we set the goal, it's like, okay, how do we track how much we're doing? And so we've got a provider in Open Dental. So anytime we donate any of these patients, we set the provider as Free Dental Day. And so then it makes it real easy to pull a report on Free Dental Day and see what's the dollar value of the services we provided, how many extraction codes or whatever it may be. It's pretty easy to track all that in Open Dental. So yeah, I mean, everyone's doing it, and as an office culture type of thing, like that's kind of become something we do. And so even though this last several years hiring has been difficult, I mean, I know you've noticed a difference in the last couple of years,
Yeah.
and you're probably somewhat of a guru on how to how to hire people, right? Like it's
Yeah, everyone's
the things
feeling
have
it.
changed. Oh yeah, and so that's been a big one that you. I think we're tending to hire and grow and keep people at the office that community service is something they really value and see the importance of, and so there's a lot of pride in the office of all this stuff we do. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I enjoy it anyhow.
Do you get
It
any
doesn't help.
like do you have any like sort of, I mean, with the volume of free care that you're doing and you hope to do, like nonprofit, tax designation, tax breaks for doing free stuff, anything like that?
So yes, now. So last year, it got to a point where like, hey, this is just like I told you, I'm the king of the high overhead, right? Like
King of
if
overhead.
I mean if you want to throw down on this, like I will take you out. But that's part of it is like we've kind of run the office. So 4 hours a week, you've got one of your dentists and the equivalent of three assistants and one and a half, two, three, whatever front desks are basically you're
Yeah,
paying
and you're
people,
just
but you're
taking it at a
giving stuff
loss
away
because
for
you're
free.
working as a nonprofit during that time block.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so that's one of the things for us, like, okay, if we're gonna routinely donate $1 million, like it's really expensive to donate all of this. And so we opened or started a 501c3 last year. So my office is Mint Dental Care, and I love the puns, so we call it Mint for more.
Yeah.
But we opened a nonprofit, and the big reason to do that is so that we can apply for grants. And so we just went through and applied for one from Delta Dental. This year they do grants every year. I have no idea if we'll get it or not, but
What does that look like? Like, do they just say, here's a check for 20,000 to help you do free work? Like, what does it look like?
yeah, so they'll do up to $40,000. I don't remember. I think it's like $500,000 worth of grants every year.
Mhm.
And this is the Delta Dental of Arkansas Foundation. Each state's probably going to have their own. And
Mhm.
so they had an online portal, and I had to apply for it. I mean, it was like applying for dental school all over again. And so, I mean, I pretty much applied, told them, here's how much I want, here's my budget for it, here's our vision, here's what we're going to do with it, here's what we're doing anyway, here's what you would allow us to do more of if you're a part of it, and who's involved. And I mean, it took me a long time, and a lot of my team helped with it too. So we spent a lot of time and effort on this thing. So I don't know if we'll get it or not, but sitting down and going through it and having to like calculate the six figures basically we're spending a year to be able to do this, like it was like, oh, that's maybe why my overhead's kind of high.
Yeah,
But
I
at the
bet.
same time, I'm cool with it. Like it's also like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. Like this business of ours that we've built, we're able to help a lot of people because we're spending a lot, but we're giving a whole lot more, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
dentistry is not something anyone can just pick up and do. And so wherever you live, there is a need. There is a huge need.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
for
My
me,
wife actually is a dentist at a free clinic around here, like totally free
sweet.
for anyone who walks through
Yeah,
the door. Mhm.
that's awesome. And before I worked at my office, I worked at a FQHC, a federally qualified health center. And so our patients weren't all totally free. It was on a sliding scale.
Yeah, sliding scale.
But yeah, but for some people it was, and they took Medicaid. And so just a different general population. Man, I love that job. Like I, a lot of people that just maybe at the moment they don't have the income to spend on dentistry.
Mhm.
I mean, still, these people are awesome. Like, there's this easy thing to think, oh, it's just so and so's. I don't know. They can't afford their teeth, so they don't. That's not the kind of patient I want in my practice. I
That's
want
not the right kind of
blah blah
patient,
blah blah.
Trent. We want the
Yeah,
right
I
kind of
know,
patient.
I know, and it's like, okay, well, that's my kind of patient. So yeah, but I really enjoyed that my job there, and actually we work with them. They'll send us some patients on stuff too, and so
Yeah.
yeah. But it's your wife could tell you that. Like,
Mhm.
she works with some awesome people.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I mean, their income might not be what they need to be able to afford dental care at the moment, but most of our patients are probably just really good, awesome
Yep.
people, kind of like a lot of people are. So
Yep.
yeah,
What's the most
but
challenging thing about a team that big, like approaching 40?
oh gosh, 40 personalities, or I'd say 35.
And then I'll add a layer onto this. How much of the people management are you doing at this point, and how much of the people management have you delegated to a manager?
So I'm doing a lot less. I've delegated a lot to a manager. So, all right. So to backtrack a little bit, we've got a management team at the office. So I think part of me being stressed out was organization, having everything on my shoulders. So we went through the whole EOS system. There's a book called Traction by Gino Wickman, I believe is
Mhm.
the name, if you're familiar with it. But it's basically an entrepreneur type small business management system. Like, hey, it's probably good to have a leadership team, and it's probably good to delegate, and it's probably good to have meetings and set goals. And so I read that book and we started that probably in 2018. I hired a coach to help us implement everything. I don't know that it matters that you or anyone else has to do traction, but that's what I did.
Mhm.
And it helped us a lot. So we've got a leadership team, which consists of myself and one of my associate dentists, a front office lead, a, an assistant lead, and hygienist lead, and we have a lab lead because we have our own mill and we do our milling, which in
Mhm.
reality, the lab lead used to be my assistant lead, and then she took over the lab, and we kept her on the leadership
Yeah.
team because she's cool. Um, but I delegate to a lot of those people, and then each department goes to their lead, and so that helps a lot. A lot of the littler things that the complaints people have, I don't ever hear about it.
That's
I
great.
still hear about a lot of it though, because the reality is I'm a dentist. I'm not a trained leader. I'm trying and I'm learning,
Mhm.
but I'm not there yet. And my leadership team, our office manager she's my first hygienist. And so she's a trained hygienist and she's awesome, but she's learning how to lead people too. And I mean, she's in her 20s, and all of my leads, like that, we're not CEO people. We don't have a background in business and management. And so we're all learning on the job, um, which kind of means we're all struggling with it. And so in fact, we had last week in our meeting, it was just like, it was kind of a heart to heart, like for all of us. There were tears, there was like emotions of like, what are we doing? This is so hard because we love all these people, and all 35 of our employees are smart, awesome, great people, and yet some of them aren't getting along, and or they're mad at us or something like that happens, and like it's tough. Because I want everyone to be happy and get along and sit around in a circle and say kumbaya, and we'll
Yeah.
all have a hot cocoa and it'll be great. But that's not how things work. And so, as far as your question, how much is delegated, how much am I managing? A lot is delegated, but there's still a lot I'm managing, and a lot of that is managing my employees and my leads too, and trying to help train and help them lead, knowing that I'm still learning as well. So yeah, like, and maybe this is part of like my struggles as a leader and growing, is a lot of it I'm learning on the job, and we've
Yeah,
had a lot of
learning on
growth.
the
We've
fly.
got a lot of patience. Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. And I look back 5 years ago, and it's like I've learned a lot of lessons. There's a lot of things I would never do now, and it wouldn't even make me lose an ounce of sleep, like as far as what I would tolerate from an employer for somebody. And I know 5 years from right now, there's going to be things like, man, I remember I was so stressed about that, and that really is just not a thing. Like,
Just
don't, what is it? Don't sweat the small stuff.
it's all small stuff.
And it's all small stuff. Yep, I can tell myself that every day, but yeah, it all feels big sometimes. So anyhow, yeah. So big team, definitely hard. Definitely been a struggle. Like, okay, so just case study on us. We just expanded, and we got done with March at the expansion, and basically we have a lot of patients, and we don't have anywhere to put the patients. And so it was like, okay, well, let's expand, and we'll continue to grow and add providers to help accommodate this demand. And so we expanded and did all that, and it kind of all coincided with the hygiene shortage. And so in my area, which I think is the same as pretty much everywhere, like, it took us over a year to find. We lost a couple of hygienists. We hired 2 new ones over a year ago, and they both washed out within not a lot of time. Just not really a good fit. I think a mutual, not a good fit. Yeah. And so, but it's still like, I'd have kept them on because we needed them. And then it took us a year to find another 2. And so we just now had a couple new grads, and and they've been awesome so far. Like, it's been working out really, really well. But like, I increased my overhead a lot with the new facility. I hired more people, anticipating getting more patients in, and then ran into this inability to find a hygienist. So it's like, like, our overhead's really high, and our payroll is really high, and everything's
Where are my
really
hygienists?
high, but my revenue is the exact same as it's always been. And so, like, that was really hard. Growing the facility. And then, I mean, really this month, August was the first month. I mean, I've been able to, like, okay, like, I can take a breath. We're on the right
Good
track.
for you, man. Good for you.
We're not going backwards, because I mean, just a growing practice and everything. Like, from a financial standpoint, the last year has been worse than several years ago, on paper. But, like, why did we do that? I go back to setting that goal to donate $1 million of dentistry in a year. I'm going to need to dedicate a whole bunch of my time to it, more than a half a day a week. And we're going to need to have the whole pie of what the office collects, the whole of our patients, needs to be pretty big to be able to allow us to donate a whole bunch of dentistry. And so I think for us, the big choice of continue to grow this thing, it all goes back to that core, for us, that big 10-year goal of, okay, and some of our core values and what we want to do, it has to do with charitable dentistry. And to do that, we kind of need a big team and a lot of revenue to help absorb a lot of the costs associated with it. And so that's why I have a big team, and why we've continued to grow, because eventually I would like to do that full time. I mean, I say full time for me, but
Full time for you.
I'd like to go in and, right now I work 3 days a week. I do 8 to 5. I'd like to do my 8 to 5, 3 days a week, and have it all be pro bono. And so, but to do that, I need to be able to afford to do that. Like, I'm not saying, like, I like my nice things. I've got my family to support and everything. Like, I'm not going to be
4 kids.
Yeah. And I want to go on vacations, and I want to do nice things, right? Like, I'd like to be able to have both, do the pro bono dentistry, and be able to provide for my family. And so I think a big team allows us to do that, because we have, as we've grown and added more people and grown, we've noticed, like, we've been able to give away a lot more and more and more. And that also brings me back. I think I'm rambling, getting off topic, back to the nonprofit. That's one of those things, is when we calculated kind of for last year how much we're spending, essentially, in order to have the facility and employees to do the time we do with donated dentistry, opening up the nonprofit. I think I think that's going to give us opportunities with grants and other things to get it to where we're not ever going to make $1 on it. Whoop. Lost my head. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, cool. Lost one of my earbuds. But we don't need to make money on it, but it'll allow us to give a whole lot more if it doesn't cost as much to provide that care.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I like it, man.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's,
go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say that's us. That's what we're doing.
I mean, I think that's a great way to cap it off. I do like to keep these around 30 minutes, Trent, and we're right at 35 minutes. So
Okay, cool.
we might do a part 2. Today was awesome. This is going to be in the Facebook group. I'll also post it on the blog later. I think it's really cool that we can share your message and your insights about charitable dentistry, as well as some of the growing pains of growing a practice from 0 to 35 and beyond.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't take a deep breath and think it through real hard if you're focused on that growth. I could definitely see why a lot of people are like, you know what, I'm just gonna raise my fees and, and stay small. It's like that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
So,
Trent.
cool, man. Yep. Thanks, Angel.
Yep.